3 here on this Sunday, and we have a severe thunderstorm warning that has just gone up for parts of Sheboygan County, Washington County, and Fond du Lac County, and this is going to run until 2:15. My colleague meteorologist Lisa Michaels is on the air right now, and I'm here online with you, and just want to talk about what's going on with this cell. Couple things. This is for wind and for hail. So here we are. We are just north of Kewaskum. I know this is just north of West Bend, but the cell is really north of Kewaskum, heading right towards Plymouth at this point. So Plymouth, you're kind of in the direct line of this. Lamira, you just went through this storm. So let's talk a little more about this. Just again to emphasize here, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for hail up to 3/4 of an inch in diameter and wind gusts to 60 miles per hour. So let's take a look at the hail out of this thing. And there's a little bit of hail. I'll put this into motion for you here. And you can see that, again, it really kind of peaked right over Lamira. Now as it's heading towards Eden, it's getting a little weaker on the hail side, but it is still there. So as it heads towards Plymouth, that's certainly a possibility here as it continues to move towards, again, Plymouth, Greenbush, Glenbeulah, these areas as we head towards the next half an hour or so. Now let's look at the wind out of this as well, which I don't think it's anything too crazy strong, although some of the returns, let's see here, coming in, yeah, 54 miles per hour just north of Wayne, and same north of Kewaskum. So yeah, so if you translate that to the ground, we could end up with, wind gusts to about 60 miles per hour. This is going to be pretty brief, but again, wind and hail and heavy rain out of this. So let me switch you back to the normal radar here that you're used to seeing. Again, if you're just tuning in here, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Washington County, although honestly, Washington County, I think you're okay out of this one. This is really going to be more for southeastern Fond du Lac and western Sheboygan counties until 2:15 for some wind and hail. It's a low-end severe thunderstorm warning, so Greenbush, Plymouth, these areas, you're going to end up seeing the storm shortly. There are more developing off to the west here, so we'll see what happens there. But just to give you kind of a general idea as I broaden this view out for you, we did this morning have, and right around the midday hour, we did have a tornado warning for Dane County. There is a warm front down to the south. In fact, I just did a social media post that it's 75 in Janesville and it's 47 in Milwaukee. It is currently in the 40s in Sheboygan, low 50s in West Bend. So what does that mean as we go back to the radar here? That means that these storms are elevated. Okay, so it's too cold. They're not going to ingest the 50-degree air because it's going to shut them down, right? So it's ingesting the air at 5,000 feet, and so that shuts the tornado threat off, which is good news. So there's no threat for that, but it keeps the wind and hail threat going, and that's what we're seeing right now. So again, that's the reason for the severe thunderstorm warning. But again, I think Washington County, you're fine. It's really southeastern Fond du Lac County and western Sheboygan County. All of this is moving northeast, and again, this cell in particular is moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. And there's this front. It's north of the warm front where these storms are now. Again, I mentioned it's 75 in Janesville. So that's going to be kind of the story of the day, is this activity. We call this now overrunning type rain coming through. So in other words, it's running up and over the warm air to the south, and the warm air is overrunning the cooler air up to the north. Basically what that means is just heavier rains and some wind and hail up to the north. I think we're going to be dry for the rest of the day. We'll watch that stuff near Madison if anything more pops. So Dodge County, you might get a few more cells coming through in the next hour or two. But most of this is going to clear the area in the next few hours. We're going to stay cool in Milwaukee, but places like Burlington and Janesville could get to near 80 later on today. So it's one of those unfair days, right, when you're in Milwaukee. Later tonight, there is a risk for severe weather coming in overnight potentially, although I think that's largely going to fizzle as we go into the overnight hours. We'll have to see if out ahead of that line if we get some storms. So overnight tonight, there's a chance. Tomorrow morning, there's a chance. Then we warm up tomorrow afternoon, probably into the 70s. I'm actually still putting the forecast together here. And then the big event that we've been talking about for days looks to really stay to our west, and that's going to be tomorrow night. And the question will be, do those storms reach us with any strength or do they die out? And right now, it looks like they could die out unless we see storms out ahead of it. So fingers crossed. Again, it's all about timing, right? With these storms. And for the storms later tonight, they're going to hit us overnight, which is tends to be a more stable time in our atmosphere. Same thing on Monday night. So that's the hope, with timing maybe on our side with these storms. So again, severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Sheboygan and Fond du Lac counties primarily until 2:15. So that's going to run for a little more than a half an hour for some wind and hail. And then, a few more storms in our western and northern counties, then we'll dry things out. We'll have more for you coming up a bit later today. I'm putting the forecast together, so I'll do more of a deep dive on the later storms overnight tonight and again tomorrow night coming up a bit later. Have a great afternoon. And hey, if you're in the heat right now, soak it in for us because where I live, it's in the 40s.